So verse 7 continues from verse 6, saying, "In all things show yourself to be an example of good deeds, with purity and doctrine dignified." Now this verse is very interesting. You'll notice that Paul employs a very important pronoun here, yourself. Now, again, folks, I cannot stress this enough. This is where reading your Bible carefully really pays off. Remember that Paul has addressed this letter to one individual in particular, Titus, and Titus is meant to carry his teachings forward. Now, so the tendency is to sometimes read verse 7 as this kind of collective statement regarding young men attached to verse 6, when a careful reading shows us that verse 7 is actually very focused on Titus himself. Now, do these things apply to young men? Certainly. That's the point. But what Paul is telling Titus to do here is lead by example, to be a model of these things, which fits perfectly with everything that he's instructed these church leaders to be and do in this section. Now we remember that we are after a very tight interpretation of the text here, a careful and common sense reading. And if you've been paying attention, you'll notice very quickly that the shift in pronouns from they in the previous verses to the yourself here in verse 7 is really apparent. Those little shifts, which are so easy to miss, are really important for nailing down a tight continuity in your interpretation of the text. And they're right there in front of us. It's really easy to catch if you're just paying attention. So we can say that this verse certainly has an implied application for the young men on Crete, the ones to whom Titus is meant to be an example. But we want to recognize that Paul is speaking very specifically to Titus here, and this is going to carry over into verse 8.